you now before we're too far gone.
Good afternoon, everybody. Is it afternoon? Yeah, it's 12:58. I'm 58 minutes past noon, so it's okay to say that. It's 75 degrees, mostly cloudy here in the sort of south. I'll leave it at that. We're going to keep playing the game with the weather, the temperature, and you figuring out what part of the country we're in. I've given it away a few times anyway. Um, I'm going to throw this disclaimer up right out the gate today. Today's going to be a little tougher, guys. Don't come in here ready to start a fight because you need to be open minded, mature, ready for change when you come to my place. Also, we're going to put up a warning. Some stuff could be graphic to people, some may not. You never know how sensitive some people are. And so I want to make sure that I get that out there. Let's go ahead and move forward with this. Yeah, we're going to talk about Aiden. And I kind of, you may be confused about what To Kill a Mockingbird has to do with this. It's actually a perfect word or sentence or book to use. If you don't know anything about the book, the author is Harper Lee. You probably could check it out at your library, or you could go buy it at any kind of bookstore or anything like that. But see, To Kill a Mockingbird is both a young girl's coming of age story, not coming out, sorry, misspoke. Can't misspeak these days on these subjects. So again, To Kill a Mockingbird is both a young girl's coming of age story and a darker drama about the roots and consequences of racism and prejudice, probing how good and evil can coexist within a single community or individual. It's definitely perfect title for what's going on in the world today. It is absolutely erupted um, with this shooting. Many of you may not know how, while this shooting is epic and tragic, there also was a political agenda going off within a day and also the day of this killing, as people like to say. I don't like to use that. Was people Did people lose their life? Yes, all 7 of them did. Yeah, I know. We've covered this enough. I've done enough videos to cover, why y'all should say, understand why I say that. But let's get started. I just want to make sure you understand. If you're not open minded and not mature enough to handle conversations of change, I'm not telling you to get out. You just need to be able to be open and understanding to other faiths, race, um, gender, just the basic disclaimer on every application that's ever filled out in the United States. In case y'all don't know, we do not exclude male, female, race, religion, gender. Do you know or realize that that disclaimer is a word put in there separated by commas from other words by the fact that those are the things throughout history that our country has discriminated someone about at one point or another? But that ought to tell you, see, we're not a perfect nation. Nope. Excuse my drinking. No, it's not alcohol. I don't drink alcohol. So that disclaimer's been up there enough. Also, there's a lot of opinion that's going to go on, I know, with today's subject. I'm okay with that. Opinions are always welcome, whether they're good or bad. There's a lot of allegedlys going on, whether they're good and bad. There's some things that are not allegedly. It's a word people are now using because they're scared that, YouTube is going to take their channel down, or they're falsely accusing someone of something because you don't have the facts to back it up. If someone is gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and they've addressed the fact and they've said it, and someone knows about it, just because they did not tell you personally, it's not allegedly. Just because we don't find out things from the horse's mouth, they aren't allegedly. There's going to be a lot talked about today that are not allegedly. But I am a veteran that's going to touch on some sensitive subject today for a lot of people. First of all, let's make this clear. Everyone is welcome on my channel. I do not discriminate, not against race, not against gender, not against sexual identity, not against LGBTQ, not against a single person. If you come in and you're a person who, I don't know what they call this, and I'm not saying that because I'm against you, it's because I am uneducated by one of you to explain to me. You act like a cat, you want to be a cat, and you want me to put a litter box in the corner of my studio. You're going to have to tell me what to refer to you as if you're going to be on here, because I don't know. I don't know. I don't have any of you that ever come here, so I don't know. I'm not making a funny. I'm just leaving the door wide open. But if you come in here being super rude and show you're full of hate towards anyone in here, I will put you out without mercy. With that said, Let's go check this out. Pay attention, people. Today you're going to get taught something.
Protesters and demonstrators are outside at Legislative Plaza this morning. We especially saw, you can see the scene right now on Sky 5 earlier today. A lot of people couldn't all fit in the Capitol, so they led demonstrations outside as well. They frequently involved school children before they went off to school. We spoke to a Hillsborough High School student who said she was afraid to go to school because the Covenant school shooting was just down the road from her. Here are some of the thoughts she shared with us this morning.
I think that kids shouldn't be afraid to go to school. And I was definitely scared on Monday, and I was a mile away from it, and I watched the police and the ambulances go back and forth between Covenant and Vanderbilt. And I don't want my siblings to be scared who go to JT Moore, also just down the road. I think that it's really important that we tell the people whose job is to represent us what we want, and also it's their job to protect us, and I don't think that they're doing that.
So now I think the question becomes, how will lawmakers respond to these calls for change? Just moments ago, we got a copy of a letter that Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally sent to the governor.
Sorry, I want you to pay attention to this. It's very loud in this building, and it's not because it's the building, it's very loud outside as well. But the thing I want you to pay attention to is it's not one race here. There are men, there are women, there are youth, there are young adults. There are African American, there are whites, there are Hispanic, there's every race that resides in this country, and they're not fighting, they're standing next to each other in a fight against change.
Governor of Tennessee, Bill Lee, some of his suggestions include having armed guards at both private and public schools in Tennessee and fortifying a few weak points that we potentially saw at the Covenant School. We were hoping to be able to hear from leadership on what some of those proposals might specifically look like. Unclear of how this disruption on the House floor will impact our ability to be able to ask leaders those questions. But as you know, here at News Channel 5, we are passionate about getting answers from lawmakers and those in power, and we will try to do that to be able to bring those answers to you. That's the latest from the Capitol.
Well, that's something right there. That is a very loud situation going on down there. They even have the troopers holding protesters back at the Tennessee Capitol. This happened yesterday after the school shooting in Nashville sparked the calls for stricter gun laws in the state. Let me put up, these are not just adults. Look around here. This is everybody. This little guy right here in the middle of these two young ladies of Am I Next and We Matter. Look at him. Don't ever underestimate the power of youth. Read their signs. Look at every one of them. They skipped school and walked out on schools yesterday to go to this rally. And so by you contemplate, Aiden and what he did, there's a bigger issue on the table. But pay attention, because see, hundreds of angry protesters, and most of them are high school students, they flooded Tennessee's Capitol Thursday, and they were calling for stricter gun laws. Not adults, but kids, high school students, and even smaller, as you just saw after Aiden took out 3 children and 3 adults earlier at the private school in Nashville. The chanting, save our kids and not one more. Protests gathered outside the legislative chambers where lawmakers were in session, and they could hear the students' shouts reverberating off the Capitol Rotunda. Keena Hoskins, 17 years old, says, I'm afraid. Who went to the protest instead of attending school that day? Her message to the lawmakers who legally purchased military-style guns, like the ones used in Nashville shooting, are completely outrageous. I want them to do something so school children aren't slaughtered, said the Nashville student. And I really hope I'm not yelling for no reason. This is a kid. And y'all think our youth are stupid and grungy and all they do is play video games? They know what's going on. And they step up when they need to. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally and House Speaker Cameron Sexton expressed openness to a so-called red flag law, which would prevent a court to order the temporary removal of firearms from a person believed to present a danger to themselves or others. And Republican Governor Billy Lee, Bill, they call him Big Bill, who has huddled daily GOP legislative leaders following Monday's slayings at the Covenant School, he's revisiting his administration's sweeping school safety proposal. But it doesn't seem to be working, Billy. That focuses on fortifying schools according to the bills. Hey, how about this? Can we get some good doors on these schools? How about that? How about we get some doors with some center, the kind that have that center bar that you push sideways and it comes across to lock on the frame, kind of like they have at banks for the vaults. Can we have some doors like that? That's a good idea. We don't need glass doors. We don't need windows on the side of the door. We don't need to see all that. If you can't see in and you need something, go to the front of the school and check in. Would I be opposed to putting our military people that are sitting on bases in the United States right now outside a door as a protection? Not standing in front of the door, standing against the wall beside the door with just a handgun on their side, on their hip. Their shirts will cover them. I know this because we wear them all the time and you don't even know it's there. We have rifles, yes, but we also have handguns. If you have, and put them all over the schoolyard, outside the doors, not to interfere with school, but to protect the children. How about that? We're already paying them. Why not use them? No change in the school billing, nothing like that. You just put them out there. They're already getting paid by our government. and they have children too. Jade Byers, the governor's press secretary, said Lee will share more in the coming days as new proposed safety measures and funding to pay for them. It always goes back to that. It always goes back to the funding. The shooting just exposed holes in the state safety policies. Is what it did. I thought we already had that figured out, that it was a cluster bleep on other states like, I don't know, Texas, a state that has everybody carrying guns, and it still happened there. Ramos, hello. It was a dramatic day on the Capitol Hill as elected officials acknowledged this week's mass shooting, confounded by the many elements of Tennessee's school of safety policies and proposal, including the governor's bill to require all K-12 public schools to keep their exterior doors locked and risking loss of escalating amounts of state funding with each violation. Now we're going to take their money from the schools who are already hurting to run with not enough money. The measure also requires that private security guards receive active shooter training before they're posted at school. Why would you use private security guards when you could use your military that are already getting paid? That's not an extra fund that would need to be raised. They're already trained. They're already trained. They're already paid. They already have signed on a sheet of paper that I will give my life. A soldier will die before he lets someone enter the doors you told him to post up at. That is a fact. And the trained private security guard, you ain't going to pay him enough. That's a whole different kind of oath. You shouldn't have to pay somebody to protect those kids. But you're already paying the Army. You're already paying the Marines. Put them outside the wall. Put them on the wall by the door. They don't have to interact with the children at all, but the children will see them, and that automatically will make them feel safer. And also, whenever somebody tries to confront them, all the other ones are come to back him up, and then this little person who's trying to confront them are facing a small platoon who shoot. They don't play. There's a fact for you. The tragedy occurred just 2 months after the governor's annual address. Identified school safety as one of his top priorities, not today though. And it happened, on his watch, per se. And at the Covenant School, the private Christian school in Nashville, associated and affiliated with Green Hills community, there was no armed security officer on site. None. Not one. And the poor janitor, just trying to do his job to keep a clean school, died in the process. There wasn't even someone to protect that man. Your private schools need to wake up. You're not above the things that happen in this country. The intruder just entered by shooting out the glass in a locked side door. The door was locked. It was closed. Aiden shot them doors out the way because they were glass. Why? I don't know. The Covenant shooting, according to 17-year-old Allison McMahon, showed that the state's focus on hardening campuses isn't enough. She said stricter gun laws are needed. Is that what it is? There's some adults in this. There they are. The police. Right now, they truly outnumbered by these people. One guy. Look at all the. There's boys, there's girls, there's young, there's old, there's their ages. They're not, just high schoolers in here. Look at their ages. Also, look at, the things they're saying. Because I'm going to tell you right now, this picture alone proves to you that the youth have a better connection with the LGBTQ community. That sign says drag shows do not kill, guns do. The one next to it says school attendance should not be a death sentence. Kids have a better grasp and understanding of an alternative lifestyle, and the students that are among them that identified this way. It's the parents who don't know, who cannot handle these types of things. The parents of the kids that are this way, that identify as LGBTQ, but it's not these kids. They may identify, but it's not their peers. Some peers are just like their parents. They hate because that's what they were taught to do. But here's a sign. Here's your rainbow flag right here. Disarm. A parent with kids. Guns murder children. Here's more kids. Different races. Come on, people, wake up. You're sitting there blaming the youth. You say they're worthless, that they're never going to be anything. They have a better grasp on racism because they have friends of all colors, mixed, and everything. And do you have anything like that? No. Okay, you weren't. What are you gonna say? I wasn't raised that way. It's time for you to change. You're not a kid anymore. Here, protesters scream from the rotunda during the rally against the gun violence, while the representative leaves the state capitol. A grown man is running from these kids. I like the guy in the middle. Hashtag it's the guns. Hashtag duh. Freaking hilarious, actually. Jennifer Morton yells the name of the Covenant school mass shooting victims during the rally of parents and kids to end gun violence outside the state capitol Thursday. She's trying to yell over all these people. She's doing, she's there. She's letting her voice be heard, even if it can't be over this loud abruption of people. There were so many people there. This is Tennessee State Representative Justin Jones of Nashville, and he speaks into a megaphone. He is on a megaphone, and he is inside the Capitol, away from those people, and he's speaking against gun violence. And with him is Gloria Johnson of Knoxville and Justin Pearson of Memphis. People came from everywhere. This action came in the wake of the Covenant shooting that killed 6 people. You can be mad at Aiden. I am not saying that Aiden did a good thing. Don't start that shit. But we have to acknowledge that Aiden was the catalyst for blowing all of this up. I know this is hard to hear, but sometimes God takes those before their time to bring attention to the others. We have different people. Ohio mass shooting survivor Daryl Green addressed the crowd at the rally at the state capitol Thursday. All these people from all over have come to say something. It's Tennessee State Representative Justin Jones right here. He's at that rally. And 3 days after the mass shooting at the Covenant School, this protester on Thursday yells at the lawmakers. It's the lawmaker right here with the bow tie on. And they're demonstrating, calling for stronger gun laws in the end to gun violence. Look at their faces. You're a lawmaker, and you have to be protected by a major and a lieutenant of the state police from the people. You're so scared of the people. You had to be protected from the people. It must be nice. Because no one had any of that protection. Not one of the 7. Not the 3 children. Not the 3 adults. And Aiden didn't have protection. His parents didn't want him to, live at home and be who he was. Wouldn't let him wear what he wanted to wear. A simple thing as a pair of jeans and a t-shirt and, comb his hair to the left instead of the right. They wanted him to be who they thought he should be based on what was between his legs or lack thereof. Something petty. But it's nice to know that you got all this protection and you could change things and make it be so much better for all of these people. You can't tell me, people, that all these are gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender people. These are parents, brothers, sons, mothers, daughters, boyfriends, girlfriends. This is the whole cotton ball, the whole gumbo ball of people that want to change. The problem is They want stricter gun laws. They want people to have to be checked for, what are they going to change? Hold, right now you can't buy a gun without waiting the 30-day for a background to be brought back. Okay, you go buy a gun, you do the background, you do the fingerprints, you do all this stuff, and it comes back that you don't have a background, nothing in your background, you're not mentally ill, you're not da 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 da. And no, people, just be if the person is transgender and they're under the care of a therapist, I'm sorry to tell you that does not prevent them from buying a gun. They are not mentally ill. They're not schizophrenic. They're not depressed in a way that would prevent them from buying a gun. Being gay, bisexual, transgender, I don't forget, I don't forgot the whole, and LGBTQ is not on the paper that keeps them from buying a weapon. That must be what you want. Maybe these people want the lawmakers and everybody in Congress or the president or somebody to write the sentence on a gun application. Are you LGBTQ? Yes or no? And if somebody marks yes, well, they're not allowed to buy a gun. That's what people want. That ain't happening. Be realistic. Because Aiden didn't have a criminal background. There was no reason that Aiden could not purchase a weapon. Nothing at all. Aiden was a graduate. Aiden was not an idiot or somebody mumbling around on themselves and drool going down their face. That wasn't Aiden. I showed you enough pictures of stuff to prove to you that wasn't Aiden. So let's just talk about the war on LGBTQ existence. This is the real issue. There outweighs the record onslaught of 650 bills is targeting the LGBTQ community in the United States. LGBTQ people, they're under siege by a staggering amount of bills across the United States with the deliberate aim to expunge the community. So far in 2023, 46 states have introduced more than 650 anti-LGBTQ bills, according to the Movement Advancement Project, or MAP, a think tank that researches LGBTQ issues and laws. Wow, we have a think tank for those people. What about other people? Am I under a microscope because I'm a veteran? Does my feet match? Is my toenail long enough? Is it short enough? Is my pinky all right? Young people particularly young people, particularly those who are transgender, are being targeted. MAPS research shows more than 160 anti-LGBTQ school-specific bills. You got that? These are school-specific. There's 160 of them were unveiled in state legislation in just the first 2 months of this year. There's a whole lot going on, it appears, behind the scenes. And you're saying, what does this have to do with covenant? People are using the covenant attack as a way for their agenda, not their agenda about taking guns or making guns harder for people to get. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, the truth of it is, even if you banned all the guns in the country, there'll always be people who sell guns in the street. You will never get rid of the guns. And why would you? The greatest thing in this country is that we have the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, because some people panic, some people freeze in a situation with someone pointing a gun at them, and some people don't. And we need those people who do not freeze to protect those that do. So it's clear that we are in a disturbing new era of attacks on the communities and especially the transgender people. Logan Casey, MAP's senior policy researcher, told USA Today the dramatic rise in political attacks clearly illustrates how emboldened anti-LGBTQ activists feel. Over the years, we've seen many attacks on LGBTQ communities. We've all seen it. It's been on the news. It makes the news all the time. What about the shootings at the bars? There are people that tag, the bars to go shoot. We've seen it all on the news. And people might be saying, oh, yeah, Nasir, are you gay? Is that... No, I am not. I have no letter in the LGBTQ. I don't see no N. I don't see no M for Nasir and me. I don't see anything like that. But I'm not a hater of them. I am a veteran, and I would protect anyone in America, and that includes LGBTQ. I would protect them as much as I would any other citizen. The report that was given is a blunt warning not to view 23 as a time of progress. No, it ain't. It's a time of setbacks. But it seems like Aiden got everything going back and putting the views on, the people wanted to go there and make a stir about guns because of what Aiden did. But we're not even close to being done. You got to remember the manifesto is coming out. And I would dare to bet, allegedly, so I would say that so you can feel happy. Allegedly, there's going to probably, more than likely, allegedly, whatever, is going to be something about sexual abuse. And that's another subject. Why are we worried about, not doing the right thing on the children who get taken in this country to be sold as sex slaves? Just like the guns. The guns get sold behind the government's back, on the streets, in the streets, thug it up. The little kids in this country get taken right in front of people's eyes, sold to some sex maniac who makes money off of putting them in videos and putting them on whatever, or they sell them to another person who makes them into a hooker or some kind of sex slave. There's a lot of things going on in this country, and this is just the scraping of the top. The legislation escalation has been unparalleled in the last 2 years. There's been hostile bills. Oh, not many bills, just a 315 bills were introduced in the state legislature Despite nearly, let's say 80% of Americans saying they support non-discrimination protection for LGBTQ people. Now, in the first 3 months of 23, there had been more anti-LGBTQ bills than all of 2012 through 2015. There's a range of reasons for the rise in the political tax, including the deliberate misinformation campaigns seeking political gain. You got to remember, these people say, what they want to say whenever it's time to get elected. They're going to say who can get them over the top. And if it's not the African American race, trust me, it's the LGBTQ. Candidates look for both of these combinations to get the vote of the people y'all no longer think exist or should exist. Don't care about them until it's time to get voted in. Then you care. There's too much inflammatory rhetoric that goes on when we're talking about LGBTQ people. The inflammatory rhetoric that, just goes around the bills, just like all the hate that went around on the internet about Aiden as soon as the information came out, the word transgender. Then people start, people on the internet just start going crazy, and they start talking about LGBT people as predators and groomers and false and troubling narratives. That's all the internet was full of, because the goal is to force LGBTQ people out of the public life. Nobody wanted to hear that Aiden was transgender. They still don't want to. They refuse to call him a him. So, you just don't talk about him, and then we can forget about the manifesto, which is going to hem somebody up. Somebody's in trouble, so go on and let it out and let us see. Let us see who the real predators and groomers are. If LGBTQ youth are unmentionable in school, in government, cannot collect. See, if they're unmentionable in the school, the government cannot collect survey information about LGBTQ people's lives. And if transgender youth must be called by their old names and pronouns, it will as if LGBTQ people don't exist. You just think about that. Censoring discussions about LGBTQ people in school. The original Don't Say Gay / trans bills surfaced in 1980. They did that in the army. Like, they would say, don't answer. They told everybody in the army this. You joined up. You don't even know about this kind of stuff. You don't even know people who are gay or lesbian or transgender. You don't even, you're just a kid. Just 17-year-old boy following daddy's footsteps and joining the army or the Marines. And they'll tell you, don't say gay to anybody. If you are gay, you need to let us know so they can kick your ass out. And trans bill surfaced in the 1980s. And MAP says the states began to repeal those laws in the mid-2000s until last year. See, so now in 2023, all 50 state legislators have weighed the bills, censored the bills, and censored the schools who can say LGBTQ people and issues. And the number of bills have quadrupled since 2020. But in 2019, there was no state law banning transgender youth from participating in school sports. In 23, there are 9 states that ban them. Let me say that again. In 2019, there was no state law banning none, nada. No state law banning transgender youth from participating in school sports. Now it's 2023, and they are banned in 19 states. And 27 states have weighed 67 bills this year. In 7 states, trans students are not allowed to use bathrooms that match their gender identity. I don't know. Where do you want them to go to the bathroom at? You want this kid that looks like a dude to not go in the boys' bathroom and lock the door and use the bathroom? You want this kid that looks like a dude to go in the girls' bathroom and scare the shit out of all the cheerleaders? Okay. That's dumb shit. Some shit is just common sense. I don't know. It is to me. Florida State of Education sent a letter in July to schools encouraging them to ignore federal non-discrimination protection for the LGBTQ students. Wow. Several states, Iowa and Missouri, are weighing bills that would require schools to notify a parent if their child uses a different name or pronoun, or if the student changes their gender expression without regard. Like, you just gonna go there and say that shit without, your parents knowing about it. Well, you might try to, but they have bills or considering bills that would create explicit protection for teachers who refuse to use a student's preferred name. Why would you do that? You're going to disrupt the whole damn class just because you're the teacher and you refuse? What do you think about that, Squirrel?
That just don't make no sense.
What if I refuse to call you? Let's say Squirrel's a girly girl, right? And for whatever reason, I'm the teacher, and she comes to school and she says, "I want to be known as Richard." It's not a manly name, but it's better than Butch. And she tells me that. I'm the teacher now. She comes and says, "Hey, teach, I want to be known as Richard." And the he pronouns, and I would be like, "What? Tell me it again, and why?" And now, what do? Either disrupt my whole class and let it out, or handle this like a grown adult. That's my dog barking because it's thundering outside. He's making his own little noise. He's a cute little poop. I have my own little special relationship with him. Anyway, Nixon school surveys. They don't even do youth at risk behavior forms anymore. Not only that, the number of attempts to ban books in libraries, documented by the American Library Association from January to August of last year, broke the previous school record in 2021 for the entire year. And half of the top 10 most challenged books in 2021 were challenged because of LGBTQ content. They can even get rid of a book that's written by an LGBTQ author, even if the content of the person's book is not LGBTQ at all. I was hoping to make it through all of this before the rain, so hopefully I'm gonna make it. We're not there. So what are we gonna do? There's 650 anti-LGBTQ bills right now. But let's not talk about drag shows. Everybody knows what a drag show is. And a lot of people out there listening to me, they've gone to them for the enjoyment of just, having it fun and an entertaining night or whatever. At least 47 bills introduced in 17 states target drag performances. The bill's broad wording leads to concerns that any transgender person who would perform in a play or speak publicly could be deemed a violation of the law. First of all, not every single person who's transgender performs in these drag shows. Just the assumptions are unbelievable. Well, now that we got all that away, right? Hope everybody's still with me on this. I got my checkup from the squirrel girl. I'm not trying to overload you. So this is a lot of information. We've heard about all the hate and all this, and Aiden, and despite Aiden's actions, there has been the bad actions. There's been a lot of good. The actions have done. The loss of those 3 children are not going unnoticed. The loss of those 3 adults are not going unnoticed. The loss of Aiden Hale is not going unnoticed. All 7 of them have sparked a light in this country for people to change. Yet they've still missed the brightest example they could ever get.
Scruggs at half staff as the sun sets again in Nashville, honoring the lives lost just yesterday. It is America's latest deadly school shooting, something we've become all too accustomed to reporting, but now it's on our doorstep. It has hit home. Unimaginable tragedy about 31 hours ago here at the Covenant School, and folks are still in shock. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. I'm Rory Johnston, live in Green Hills right near the entrance to the Covenant School and the memorial that continues to grow. We will be talking about that tonight. My co-anchors Carrie Sharp and Vicki Yates back in the studio. A lot going on, a lot of moving parts, the investigation, the dissecting of the body cam video of officers who responded, and of course that shocking surveillance video showing the shooter inside the school. They're going to handle all of that tonight, but here in the field, we just want to focus on the victims, and we're learning more about them. The families telling us some stories and allowing us to share photos with you. We remember the 3 9-year-old students at the school, Evelyn Dieckhaus, Hallie Scruggs, and William Kinney, and the 3 adults. Cynthia Peak, who we had mentioned was a substitute teacher. She was a volunteer at the school. Mike Hill, a custodian at the school for 14 years. And of course, the head of the school, Dr. Katherine Koonce, who dedicated her life to helping children, all beloved members of this Covenant Church community. We want to begin with News Channel 5's Olivia Michael. You know, yesterday we talked a lot about the reunification process, how that played out just down the road at Woodmont Baptist Church. It was closed to the media, of course, but she spoke with that church's pastor today. And what did he tell you, Olivia?
Rory, as you mentioned, we were here all day yesterday as families were slowly reunited with their children. This was also where volunteers, first responders, and neighbors gathered. But as you can see right now, a much different sight. However, now we are getting a better idea of what went on behind closed doors.
It's just, to me, the least likely place in this entire city to have a mass shooting.
As tragedy unfolded outside Woodmont Baptist Church,
Well, this is as far as we can go.
parents from the Covenant School found sanctuary inside the church.
The word itself comes from the Latin, sanct is sacred,
Parents lined these pews,
but it's also a place of refuge.
waiting anxiously to reunite with their children.
You read about these things happening in other places, and you always hear you never expect it to happen here, and it did.
Pastor Nathan Parker learned the news on Twitter. His church would serve as the reunification center. Seconds later, parents arrived.
I said, let's get our name tags on and let's go outside.
As the day progressed, counselors, clergy, and first responders joined families in this room.
I've always prayed that this sanctuary would be a beacon of hope.
One by one, children were returned to their families until these pews were left empty.
Jesus talks about the church being a city on a hill and a place that people can look to for refuge. And if Woodmont and other churches around here can be that for our community, then we'll have accomplished God's mission for our church.
As this hurting community heals, Pastor Parker hopes this church on a hill will be remembered not for the tragedy that happened outside, but for the sacred place of refuge that protected families inside.
And Woodmont is hosting a prayer service tomorrow night from 6 to
How do you deal with what? What do you? Okay, I'm sorry, everybody. We just had a little freeze for a second because of the storm. Well, that was, the Nashville church that provided sanctuary. For all the people from the Covenant School. So, you know, Nathan Parker, the senior pastor that you saw on the screen, well, let me give you the whole story about Nathan Parker and how God used him in this mass shooting at Covenant School. Because when that news broke, the aftermath became frantic. And only one church sprung into action. And that was staff at Woodmont Baptist Church. Saw the tweets and messages from Nashville's fire department and police about shooting just a couple of miles down the road. One tweet at Woodmont would serve as a reunification site. Beth Hale, Minister of Students and Disciplines, was the first message. And it was the first time or she or anyone else at Woodmont had heard of the plan, and they leapt into action. You know, when you're in a car wreck and people jump out and start acting, you don't think you do. There's a feeling going through you at that moment. The adrenaline gets in and you just jump into action. Hallie hurried to the church. She texted friends and before she arrived at the church just to pray. And parents began arriving at Woodmont just before 11 a.m. on that Monday, confused and terrified. And the police asked Pastor Nathan Parker where they could send them, and he told them to send everyone to the sanctuary. And Nathan Parker and senior pastor stood with Aaron D. Duncan, executive pastor of music, to go into action. A sanctuary is a holy place, but it is also a place of refuge and safety. Parker told the police, "I believe that our sanctuary would be a good place," and it was. Rachel Gregory was already at Woodmont when she found out her parents were on their way back to the church. She's the child's minister, and Monday was her first day back to school after a month-long sabbatical. The first thing Gregory did was find as many bottles of water as she could. She placed them in a large bucket, handed them out as parents walked in. Officials began taking a list of name, classes, grades of each student, passed them parents, and provided the information as they were told to wait. Some waited for hours. As Christians, I think we're always supposed to help play our part in bringing back in which has not been unified to unification. Parker said, that unification work is really gospel work, that we are honored to be a part of God's plan in that moment. Make sure you get that, what he is saying. If you're a Christian, write this down. As Christians, I think that we are always ready to help, to play our part in bringing back that which has not been unified to unification, Parker said. That unification work is really gospel work, that we were honored to be a part of God's plan in that moment. Meanwhile, a flood of church staff and volunteers worked to keep things in order as possible. Staff made a plan to take the children into the building using a small, discreet entrance. The cleaning crew put on name tags and passed out water bottles. Staff directed people to the bathrooms, helped take out the trash. Parker said he never saw any of his staff sit down, and he couldn't be prouder of the character in that moment. Children from Covenant School at the pre-K through 6th grade arrived on a yellow Metro Nashville public bus at noon, holding hands, and they walked in a line to the lower level of the church. They were counted. Officials cross-checked the list of children with the list given by the parents. Reunification happened painstakingly. Late in the afternoon, when unification efforts had come to a close and the volunteers had been relieved of their duty, a man approached Parker. He outstretched his hand. He introduced himself as the facility director at Covenant. He was the one who told the police to send the families. Parker told him he was honored, and he asked why. He said, "I've been driving by that church for 18 years, and I knew it was a good church," the man said. "I see the work you're doing, and I knew you were a good church." Gregory said, "I was just trying to do whatever I could help in the moment. We're heartbreaking for these families. We're praying for them, praying for our community. We're not special. We're just servants. Don't praise us. Praise God and praise these families." See, for all the hate that is being spread for Aiden, and for all the hate being spread at, and understandably, at the Capitol, the people affected the most by this action were the children in the school. Not their parents, not anybody. And those children got out. And Nathan Parker and his church at Woodmont Baptist Church gave them a sanctuary of peace. He opened up his house of God, even though they are not the same faith. He is Baptist. They are, not Pentecostal, Presbyterian. They have the same God. And I think that Nathan Parker did an excellent example of showing his faith and his church's faith and all the people there that go there faith in Woodmont Baptist Church. So you can sit around and say how much you hate transgender people because of Aiden. Or you can love everybody and help everybody no matter what. Nathan Parker also stated that they would be having services and the church was open if anybody needed it for any type of get-together regarding the funerals or anything like that. He just opened his whole church longer than that. He said anyone, and I do mean anyone, is welcome to come here. And in a small way, I wish he'd met Aiden. By saying the fact of anyone, and I do mean anyone, means he's telling someone like Aiden, you're welcome here. To treat some, you say, that's not God's will. You don't know what God wants. You know what people tell you God wants, but you don't know that. Well, my Bible tells me that I know all the texts that are in there about people like that. But I also know about other people, about other things. So you're just going to have to suck it up, Buttercup. Woodmont Baptist Church just gave you the best example of how to be for God. This was an excellent example of God's work. The fire alarm or the tornado warning is going off. I hear it, but just so the point of my talking about Nathan Parker and the Woodmont Baptist Church is because I started this story or this live with talking about, the courthouse, and then we went to LGBTQ, and then we come down. So I guess I started with the hardcore stuff first, but the point was to show you that we all can get along. This whole thing, this whole live was about, doesn't matter what color you are, your age, your gender, your sex, your not who you having sex with neither. Anybody ask you that, so get that out your mind. We can be human. And if it takes this right here, then take this right here. Don't hate. Stop the hate in you. Take Nathan's advice. We're not special. None of us are. We're just servants. And don't praise anybody, but praise God and pray for these families. Have a great day.